What do you do when your vulnerability has been betrayed? So in 13 Reasons Why, I think a really good example of this would be when Hannah writes Zach a letter and she just lays it all out there and says, here's what I've been going through and here's everything that I want you to know and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and why you're hurting me. She's very vulnerable, which takes a lot of courage. It's very brave to do. Actually shows a lot of maturity. To be able to have those kinds of conversations. But as we saw on the TV show, Zach did not really respond the way she hoped, and that causes her more pain. And then we see later she writes on a Monet napkin, what do you do if you feel like all hope is lost? What do you do? And then the teacher reads it, and the teacher kind of reads her question to the class. She doesn't know that it was Hannah who wrote it, but she reads that to the class and says, this person's probably feeling a lot of pain and we need to get them help, but doesn't really do anything. And so even in that, you might feel like you've shared and it was very vulnerable and yet it didn't go anywhere. You might feel like your vulnerability was betrayed. And the third example is when Ryan publishes Hannah's poem in the school newspaper magazine thing. That was definitely a vulnerability betrayed moment. That was probably the strongest example. So if you identified with any of those scenes, you might have the question going, well, what do I do if I have actually shared openly, I've shared honestly, and I've been vulnerable, and yet it got me nowhere. Like, it didn't do anything. And so what's the point? Here's what I would say to you. Keep going. Find a way to heal, to kind of get back pieces of your heart if you can. But don't close yourself off. Don't wall yourself away. I understand that that's going to feel like the best option right now is just to hide and say, never mind, like I don't care. That's pain speaking. That's hurt speaking. We need one another. We need relationships. Like, I would encourage you to look at the people in your life who are faithful, that haven't betrayed your vulnerability. Talk to them, be there with them, share with them. You might feel like you can't share one more thing, or that you told the last person that you had, and so now what? But we are relational creatures. We are human-to-human interaction is necessary for us. Don't block yourself off from everybody else because a couple of people treated you bad. In this thing called life, we're going to find a lot of people who disappoint us. We're going to disappoint a lot of people, but I encourage you to not shut down your heart because you found a good number of them in a row who didn't treat you the right way. And then I also would encourage you to talk, if you're young, if you're a teenager, even early college student, millennial, whatever, you're never too old to get guidance. I am in my 30s and I love any kind of guidance that I can get because I know I don't have this thing called life figured out. I haven't figured out the life hack for everything. Like, I don't always know what I need to do. And I love having people that I can turn to go, hey, I can't figure this one out. Like, I don't feel guilty or ashamed. I don't feel like I'm an idiot. I just feel like I'm smart for knowing where to turn. And so if you're younger, definitely look for those kinds of people who you can talk to and say, I feel really broken. Like, I shared and they didn't protect me. Like, my vulnerability was betrayed. Now, I know in the TV show, Hannah went to the teacher via the Monet's napkin, and then she also went to her guidance counselor, and both of those failed her. I would dare you to reach out beyond just one or two people. Finding the right kind of help actually is a process. It's not a one-time event. It takes time. You might have to call a hotline. That's not meant to be a scary thing, but the beautiful thing about a hotline is they actually know what they're talking about. They've been trained to know the right answers to share with people who are hurting, who are in pain. Because here's the thing, a lot of times when we hear somebody else's hurt or we hear their pain, it can be overwhelming to us and we might react poorly because we're in shock or we don't know what to do with receiving that kind of information. I think that happens a lot. I think that might have been what happened to the teacher in the communications class. She just kind of got startled and went, oh, I don't know. I think it bewildered her. I really do. I think Mr. Porter might have been a little bit bewildered and unsure how to lean in and really listen to her too, which is sad because that was his job, but different episode, different day. Point is, if your vulnerability has been betrayed, I dare you to define yourself beyond just that one moment or those string of moments. You are worth so much more than just a couple of people who couldn't see the real you and value and treasure that. I believe that you guys are just treasures, and I'm sorry that people have treated you wrong, and I'm sorry that you feel very vulnerably exposed and betrayed. I know a lot of you do, and I know that a lot of that is very valid and very legitimate. I really believe that you have what it takes to work through it and to keep going, and I encourage you to keep trying to get involved with people. If it's true that relationships are what broke us, I think relationships are going to help to restore us as well. Ultimately, I believe that the greatest restoring relationship is with God. I know it was for me. People will always disappoint us, but there's one who says that his unfailing love and mercy never runs out for us. And I know I need that in my life, and I bet you do too. I'm really sorry if you've been betrayed, if your vulnerability has been shattered, if someone didn't get the real you. I hope that you have people in your life that can show you just how precious your story is. I believe your story is very precious, and I want you to keep going.